Welcome back to another episode of the North Star Takes podcast. I'm Bailey Paulicki. He's Jacob Liberta, and we're a Minnesota sports podcast. And if you're a Minnesota sports fan, please click the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel and help spread the word about our Minnesota sports talk. And today we're going to be talking Minnesota Twins as the trade deadline's rapidly approaching. We're past the All-Star break now. Twins are only 2 games up on Cleveland, and Chicago is hard charging right behind them as well. It's a tight division race when it probably shouldn't be the way that the season started out. Obviously, Chicago is not living up to their expectations. The Twins are a little probably over exceeding theirs. But at the same time, they signed Carlos Correa this offseason, and the Twins have quite a few good players. They should be able to string something together. But it's pretty obvious they need to make some moves at the trade deadline. Starting pitching, bullpen especially. Bullpen's been horrific outside of Yohan Duran. What are your thoughts here, Liberta? Do you think the Twins are going to make any moves here? And who are some guys you could potentially target both as a starter and a reliever? I mean, just your thoughts in general on where the Twins stand right now?
Yeah, obviously the pitching staff is a huge issue here. You feel like the lineup is very streaky and definitely could contribute on a more consistent basis.
Yeah.
But you feel like you're mostly okay there. I feel like the bigger issue here, it's like you're not going to fix a whole team at a trade deadline, so you kind of got to prioritize what really is the glaring problem here. And it's having the pitching staff top to bottom. I think you got to prioritize first the bullpen just because, like I said, there's one guy out there. Compared to our starters, I feel like a few of these guys are going through some slumps right now. Like, for instance, I don't like Joe Ryan's throwing his pitching his best. Neither is Sonny Gray, clearly. But I think those are guys that'll bounce back. Just give them time to work it out. And then beyond that, I know it gets a little bit shakier. And I'm still a big Josh Winder guy. I think that's obviously going to have its flaws too because he's a rookie. So that's very, very volatile. And then you consider Bundy and Archer. I know that's definitely a mixed bag. What are you going to get there? I mean, Bundy every now and then he'll give you a good start. I think he's actually thrown the most innings on the team this year so far.
Yep.
But he also he's either going to get blown up or probably give you a quality start. Doesn't feel like there's a lot in between. And then Chris Archer's going to give you max 4 or 5 innings. You just hope he doesn't give up more than 1 or 2 runs, which for the most part, like he's done a good job. And I know he was on the IL now for a little extended period. So we'll see what we can get out of him down the stretch here. So a lot of question marks there. But again, going back to the bullpen, you got Duran and nobody else. So it's like you got to get some other – got to get a supporting cast in there. And that's what I feel like we're going to do. I feel like we're going to get these really middling relievers that like probably aren't like top of the market guys, but like they're that next tier, kind of like we did in 2019. We got like Sergio Romo, and then we got that injured Sam Dyson. Like that kind of feels like the moves are going to make where it's like basically low return that you have to give up, I guess, where it's just you could probably go with some middle tier prospects that you don't feel super attached to. So I could see us definitely doing that. I think we have to at least take a chance. And then beyond that, probably feel like you got to take a swing on at least one starter. But then again, you feel like you should go all or nothing on that, in my opinion, because go after like a Montas, always got the shoulder issue, or like Luis Castillo. That feels like a slam dunk move for any contender to try and pursue because it's like he's the cream of the crop. And, you know, if you get somebody below that where you get – it just feels like you're not getting much more – it's not moving the needle much. That's what I want to say. It's not moving the needle much compared to what you already got. So it's like, why not just roll with what we have and just see what happens? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So it's like going all in for Castillo or just nothing because it's like I don't think getting these other guys out there, like for instance, I know he's an all-star, but there's like this Paul Blackburn for Oakland. It's like he's having a good season. It's got like a nearly 3.5 ERA, and the FIP is pretty similar, so that obviously looks good. But it's like I don't love that because it's like down the stretch, is this guy really gonna be the one that like makes or breaks you when it comes to winning playoff games? Like probably not. So I think a Castillo or something could, but that's kind of why I look at the starting pitching. Now the bullpen's a different story. You have these guys going out there for an inning at a time, and they don't have to be fantastic. They just have to be hot. So it's like getting a guy like Jorge Lopez from the Orioles. I know the Twins touched him up on back-to-back nights with back-to-back walk-offs, but it's like this guy is very good. He made the All-Star game. He's having the best season of his career, and his contract runs up after this year. So it's like the return won't have to be that high on him, and he's over 30. So it's like that feels like a Twins move to make. And then and I also think for any team, really, I think that'd be a very solid avenue to go down. But then considering some other relievers like a Daniel Bard from Colorado, they're obviously not competing, and he's had some experience with the Astros pitching in the postseason, I believe. So it's like there's options out there, and they don't even have to be flashy names, and they can I think they can move the needle more than, in my opinion, than a starting pitcher could. Because Rocco, how often does Rocco let the starting pitchers work anyway? So it's like, well, we might as well bolster the bullpen because Rocco's going to cap them at 5-6 innings, whatever it is, because we have the least amount of 7-inning starts in the league, or more than 6-inning starts, whatever the stat is. But it's like, that's why I feel like the bullpen's got to be the first priority, and I think you got to get at least 2 guys, if not 3, because we can't be rolling freaking Joe Smith out there anymore, or Terrell Cotton, or Emilio Pagan, quite frankly. But due to different circumstances, we're not going to DFA him because that would just look horrible in the front office to DFA this guy after we trade for him and Paddock, who is having Tommy John, or just had Tommy John, and for Rogers, who was doing very good, albeit he's definitely fallen off since the beginning of the year, since a really hot start. But still, it's like that's not going to look great optically. So yeah, I think that's got to be. But long story short, that's got to be where we start with this trade deadline, then go from there. Just get some relievers in here.
I agree with you. I think relievers is the biggest issue right now. I mean, how many times have the Twins just blown games, specifically against the Cleveland Guardians, just blowing games at the end of the game? I mean, it's been mostly Pagan, like you mentioned, but there's other suspects out there that aren't very good either. You got Duffy struggled for a while. He's kind of back on track, but Jarrell Cotton and McGill and all these guys that are just, unproven, cheap, off the scrap heap type pitchers. And I know we have Bundy and Archer, and they're not fantastic, but between Gray and Joe Ryan and who am I missing here?
Josh Winder.
Winder, yes, but they just sent him down. So I think.
Okay. Well, that is true. Yeah, but I'm still believing that guy. But
yeah, I think like Winder's pretty solid.
Yeah, and where's Bailey Ober at these days? I feel like
I
haven't heard about him in a long time.
I think he's still hurt or something because he's not pitching in the bullpen either. So
I think so.
Yeah, that's been a weird one too because I thought Ober was decent last year, and I was kind of expecting him to be a decent back end of the rotation type guy this year. But I mean, it probably would be nice to add another starter unless Winder comes up and really tears it up towards the end of the year.
Because then you got some other in-house option that you have in the minor leagues.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who they have available at AAA right now, but they do have some good pitching prospects down in AA. So yeah, there's definitely some options there for the Twins, but it's got to start with the bullpen because that's where most of the losses have come from, is just the bullpen blowing games. Do you see them trading for a bat at all, Alberta? I know there's been rumors about Josh Bell, which is interesting, but I don't see them trading for a bat at this point.
Here's the thing: I don't really want to necessarily because I did see the Twins, if Josh Bell gets traded, the odds-on favorite to get him, and that just didn't really add up to me because it's on the one hand, the way I was thinking about it initially was Jose Miranda's right-handed bat. You get Josh Bell, he's left-handed bat. Okay, that makes sense. But then you factor in, Kirilloff plays a lot of first base, or Arias plays a lot of first base, obviously.
Yes.
And he was just in the All-Star game. So it's where does Josh Bell really fit in this equation? So I wouldn't really be a fan of that. I feel like that's kind of a waste because I feel like we have enough options there between, obviously Arias first and foremost, and then I feel like he should be there every single day. But then you got Miranda, and then you got Kirilloff, and then you even got Sano, who's kind of lurking out there. I know he was actually doing pretty well in AAA lately, or he has been, and it just doesn't feel like the fit there. And then you consider other positions. I mean, I think we're pretty set. I feel like we're pretty set elsewhere. I think another catcher actually could definitely be in play just because you got Jeffers now on the injured list for a long time. So it's can't roll out Gary every single day. So then we have this other guy, Hamilton, we just brought up in AAA, but I don't know if he's really the answer as far as a backup catcher. So I think could kick the tires on that. I'm curious what a guy like, for instance, Wilson Contreras could go for from the Cubs. He was an all-star catcher. He has been multiple times, and obviously he won that World Series with the Cubs back in 2016. So he could prove valuable, but at the same time, his cost might be too high. Where is it really worth it to get some catchers to play half the time? I don't really know. So I feel like you could probably find somebody out there, hopefully for a low return. But that's about probably all I can envision because I feel like they just make it work elsewhere, in the outfield, Buxton, Kepler, and then hopefully Larnach comes back at some point here. And then I know we're shuffling Kirilloff out there and left, got Celestino. I feel like we have enough in-house options where I know sometimes it can get frustrating when the lineup continuously gets shut out. But it's I don't know how many needle movers, again, kind of going back into that, where it's is that really going to be the difference for this team? The guys that we pursue as far as bats go? I I don't think so. So I'm content, really, outside of adding a catcher. I'm pretty content with rolling with what it is. It's just give me as many relievers as possible.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. I think the lineup it's okay. It's not great. It's not the Bomba squad, but
No.
there's definitely games where they go off, and then there's games where they get shut out. I think they've still been shut out the most of any team in the major leagues.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of internal development happening too, because we have so many guys now that have just recently graduated from the minor leagues that are just figuring it out. Like Miranda started terribly, but then he's just been on a heater in the last month or so. So it's kind of want to get him as many at bats as possible, and bringing in some acquisition that might play the same position as him just doesn't feel like it makes a lot of sense.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think giving guys like Miranda and Larnach and Kirilloff a little more time to develop at this level is huge. It's unfortunate that Royce Lewis got hurt because he would have had some really good development this year too.
I know.
So I mean, there's definitely pieces. And Arise is having a great year. Buxton is playing, fantastic outside of his batting average, and he's a little streaky. And then obviously Carlos Correa is just an all-around good player. So the lineup is fine. But I'm with you. Get some bullpen arms in here. Get some guys you can rely on at the end of the game. So you're not using Duran for 2 innings, and then he can't pitch for another couple days, and then you have to trot out these other guys and. It's ridiculous what their strategy is right now. But any other final thoughts from you before we take off here?
Yeah, it just makes you cringe when we got to roll out there in these high leverage situations. And here comes Caleb Thielbar. I'm done with that. I don't want that anymore. I'm happy that some of these other guys in the bullpen are coming back up to what probably the front office and coaching staff are hoping for. Like a Duffy, for instance. Duffy was terrible at the beginning of the year, as recently as the month of May, really. Yeah, I mean, Duke couldn't throw him out there with a 5-run lead, but borderline. But now you feel like you can count on him again. He has that a previous track record of success. You hope he can be a contributor on the stretch where it's you remember in 2019, again, we Twins fans and everybody around the Twins, they always like to point to that season and be like, yeah, we're a good team, good organization. But that was 3 years ago. But for what it's worth, the second half of that season, Duffy was lights out. He was arguably the best reliever in baseball. So it's could you get some semblance of that, 80% of that even? That would be a huge lift to the team. And then you add a couple more guys at the trade deadline, then all of a sudden your bullpen doesn't look quite so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's interesting because I don't think they're a true contender in any sort of way. I think they're too streaky. They're too up and down. And that's okay.
Trying to get in and end that postseason losing streak, even if we don't really have the World Series in mind, just ending that losing streak. Nice.
Yes, and there is a chance if you can hang on and win this division, you could host all 3 games of that first round.
Exactly.
You have a chance to win a playoff series here, a legitimate chance, even if the wild card's coming out of the AL East, and it could be a very good team, like the Rays or the Blue Jays or something like that. I mean,
it's a home field.
Yeah, it's home field. I mean, you gotta take that opportunity, at least win a game, like you said. But I mean, if you could win a series, that'd be a huge improvement for a Twins team that hasn't done that in a long time. So
yeah, it's been since 2002. It's been 20 years.
It's shameful, man. It's absolutely shameful. But that will do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Please click the like button and then hit the subscribe button on this channel. Feel free to follow us on both Twitter and Instagram, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who would you like to see the Twins trade for? Do you think they need to be super aggressive at the trade deadline? Do you think they just need to add a couple pieces to the bullpen potentially? Let us know your thoughts below and maybe what your expectations are for the rest of the season. And until next time, thanks for watching.